What is happening, Elevation Nation? Man, this could be an elevated conversation. Sam, I know you're feeling it. And new elevator, Keegan O'Connor, co-founder and CEO of Chillshark, also a Laker, now, a rekindled friend, is joining Elevation Nation. Keegan, we are pumped to have you. One, because what you're doing with Chillshark is absolutely incredible, but also you are a guy who embodies mental fortitude through your journey and your experiences and how you elevate yourself each and every day. So I am pumped to have you. Sam's pumped to have you. Keegan, what's going on, brother?
What's up, man? I appreciate you guys having me on, and that's a very nice intro. But we're launching a week. I'm excited to talk about it.
We're excited to have you, Keegan. I mean, we joined, and I was like, "Have I met you? Do I know you?"
Hmm.
Because we've been following each other for what seems
Hmm.
like years. Knew you were buddies with Parker. Knew you were an entrepreneur, and have just been really having the ability to watch you on your journey has been incredible.
Hmm.
And I'm really excited to get to know you a little bit more.
Hmm.
Before we jump into things, this is Elevation Nation. We like to let people give a little elevator pitch about themselves and what they started. So give the people just a little lowdown on who you are.
Who I am in the business, just
Yeah,
in
let's
general. Cool.
let's do
Yeah.
who you are and then a little bit on
Yeah.
Chill Shark.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So my name is Keegan O'Connor. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I went to University of Maryland and then transferred to High Point University. But and now I'm living in Austin, Texas, and love entrepreneurship, love hanging with my friends, you name it.
I love that. All right, let's hear it for the business. What do you got? Let's like that. I know you've got this so buttered up,
Yeah.
buttoned up, ready to go.
Mhm.
Let's hear it.
Well, yeah, so basically, you know, what you don't realize when you're starting life to go out and raise money is that you're just going to say the same pitch over and over and over again every day. So hopefully I got it down at this point. But we invented a product that turns any bathtub into a cold plunge. Uh, just built it to solve my own problem. Live in an apartment, wanted to cold plunge in a way that made sense. Bought a couple products on market that were advertised as this. Didn't do the trick, so that's kind of what got this started.
And what's crazy is today's a special day that we're releasing this podcast, right, Keegan?
That's right. Yeah,
What's
launch
special
day.
about it?
Launch day. We're launched on Kickstarter. It's been, I guess, 14 months coming now.
Wow.
We've just been working on this behind closed doors, and it is surreal to say the least because hardware is hard.
I can only imagine some of the
Yeah, man.
lessons that you've learned, some of the hardships that you've had to overcome in starting anything, but let alone a product that you now have to get out to the masses, which
Mhm.
is insane. But I will have you know, I did my first bathtub specific cold plunge a couple
Mhm.
weeks ago in Las Vegas. And it's just full circle moment that I get to now chat with you, someone who I think has probably made a significantly better product than what was going on in my friend's bathtub in Vegas. It was quite the contraption. So I'm excited to hear more about how you're revolutionizing the space. But Keegan, before we get into Chill Shark,
Mhm.
I mean, from the moment you came on here, I've obviously been following your journey. You get it. And I think
Mhm.
there are some people that you can chat with them for 30 seconds and they just get it. And I feel like with many of the young entrepreneurs we meet, that just happens right away.
Mhm.
And I think it's a shared struggle of what the fuck are we doing half the time
Yeah.
that I know you've been through, that I know Parker and I are going through. And it's that ability to push through when times get tough and not quit and just continuing to be an entrepreneur that
Mhm.
you almost like trauma bond without being together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so you obviously have had a long journey with entrepreneurship. Your father pushed it on you. Let's talk a little bit about how you ended up here at Chill Shark launching this incredible product here in 2025. You've had a few other successes and failures along the way.
Mhm. Yeah. I've I've had uh a wide range of, I guess, projects throughout my life, but I remember my dad when I was like 15, he told me that I could either go out and get a job or find a way to make money. And he was an entrepreneur, so I did both. And I remember I worked for one of my coaches doing bricklaying, did it for 2 weeks, and then I did one mulching job on the weekend. And I think I made like $400 working 40-hour weeks net. And then I did like mulching and I made $700 profit. And I was like, this, I'm never bricklaying again. This is terrible. And so all I ever did was I never really got a real job from then until I was graduating college. And I just kind of grew the business and I got super interested in entrepreneurship. And by the time I graduated college, I had my buddies working for me and it was the most fun thing I ever did, you know? Um, then, yeah, so when I graduated from college, I thought that going up to Wall Street was going to be more fun than entrepreneurship for some reason. I had it just made it up in my head that I needed to be on Wall Street. And I got laser focused on it. And I made it about a year and 2 months on Wall Street before I was like, I do not want to be here. I looked at all the partners and the people who had been there for 20 years and how they were living their life. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, there's got to be another way to do this than working 100 hours a week when you have 3 kids. Like, there's just got to be a different way. And you got to be able to do it quicker. And so when I really started reflecting on my life, the one thing that I loved was entrepreneurship. And so I started getting back after it. Started doing some drop shipping stuff, which is a terrible business model. Um, then I launched gardening tool consumer product. Then I did sports car displays, avalanche control explosives, and now we're here. So a whole wide array of different ventures, but the core theme is that I have learned at each one and it's gotten progressively better
Hmm.
to which is why I think that we are in a good position today.
So, where the idea for avalanche control explosives come from? I just want to know. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
that's so specific and
yeah,
niche.
yeah. Do you guys ski? Snowboard?
Of course,
Yeah, yeah. So the
I've heard them.
yeah, right. So okay, so I was at a point in my life, I think it was 4 years ago. We had got this deal for trying to build 90 units of apartment from scratch up in Seattle. So I was flying up there, um, and the deal ended up falling through. But on the way back, I was sitting next to this guy and his son. I remember just like turning, and he had I don't know, he had some type of entrepreneur book or something in his hand, and his kid was there. I was like, what are you guys doing? And they explained that they were up in Seattle meeting with some YouTube channel star that was something about growing plants. I was like, all right, that's cool. We started talking about business. Turned out that he owns a he's owned an explosives company for the last 15 years. And he started telling me all the different businesses he was involved in. And one of them was explosive storage. So storing other people's explosives. And what he explained to me is that a lot of these oil and gas companies down in Texas, in order to get oil out of the ground, you got to use explosives. So you're spending millions of dollars on explosives every day, and they're a heavily regulated asset, which is really important, right? But it's super heavily regulated, and there were some big oil and gas companies that were paying him $2,500 a month to store explosives in a storage container on a piece of land. So, like operationally, no overhead if you have the land. If you know how to do it, all you need is a license. And the insurance was actually surprisingly cheap. So we went out to try and get a deal done with one of the big oil and gas companies. And basically what happened was we convinced them to do it. We were going to buy like a 22,000 acre ranch in Texas and set up these and basically build like I don't know, it was 25 storage containers and basically have one of the like big time oil and gas players move all of their explosives to that location and then we would basically be their external storage partner. They were down, but they said, "Hey, could you get our supplier on board?" And then I went and met with the supplier, told him everything that we were doing, was all excited. Turns out 3 weeks later, the supplier popped up his own. He found 15 extra magazines on his property in North Carolina. So we like basically I'd already signed up. So right when I found that out, I'm like, God, like that hurts. And I'd already signed up for this like International Society of Explosives Engineering conference or something. So I went there and I was like, all right, let's just see what happens. I met a
That is
guy.
so interesting. Like, who's showing up to that
Dude,
conference? That is,
it's
the people are probably so unique.
yeah, yeah, man. That's what I love about entering into a new industry that I know nothing about is like there's so many different people, all genuinely, typically nice, but they're all like, you know, a explosives guy or a sports cards guy, like they all have their own feel. And you know, so anyway, when I went to the explosives conference, the I got an email from someone who was responsible for distributing 95% of the explosives to the ski resorts in across the world. And I was like, I mean, I love skiing. And they had a problem. The problem was they needed to store the explosives off-site in the summer because there had been a scenario where there were wildfires approaching the like Tahoe in the summer, let's say, right? And as the wildfires are approaching, they're getting worse. They fly in these incident commanders to take over. And basically, they look at a map. And on the map, let's say like Lake Tahoe is here, right? The resort. Incidents commander will come in and look where all the explosives are in the county. And then there's like a do not go zone within a specific radius of where it is. And since they had these explosives magazines apportioned out across the um, mountain, um, they basically drew a big circle around the resort and put an X through it. So as the wildfires are approaching, they had to figure out how to move all of their explosives somewhere off site, which is a huge problem because you would have to, and I didn't say the exact mountain, which one they did, but you basically would have to jump through a lot of hoops that might be get you in trouble if you don't do them properly. And then, when's the worst time to move any of that is in a fire, terrible idea. But anyway,
Oh, Jesus. That sounds crazy.
sorry, this is a really long-winded story.
No,
No,
I
this
think it's really interesting.
it's incredible.
Um,
It makes me laugh because you always wonder how people like get into a certain business, like a
mhm,
very obscure business.
yeah.
And it's just from going to weird conferences with Keegan is the answer to that question, I guess.
I swear just saying yes to just meeting people. Well, when I met Matt on the plane, he's like, I'd love to show you what I'm doing. But he's like, but you got to drive out to my ranch. And I'm like, all right, I'm in. Where's your ranch? Cool. Hour and a half from Austin. So I drive out there. I get out
Okay.
there, go down this really long road, and there's just like, just it's it would be a place that I've never even imagined before. It was completely different. But putting myself in those situations has always helped me learn something at least. But back to the how we got to the explosives business was when we were flying around looking at all these different mountains, which is the coolest perk ever. We would basically get to go fly out to like, Jackson Hole or some of the California mountains, and they take you up before the mountain would open on the ski lift with all the ski patrol, and then you would ski all around, and they'd like show you all the different like avalanche control paths, and um, basically we were looking at their product set of what they were using, and my business partner just he invented something called he invented this one type of explosive that gets around a lot of the regulations. And long story short, we created something that would really help them out. And so we had the distributor locked down, we had everything kind of ready, patents filed, and then the wars broke out, and the demand for explosives increased significantly, and the supply stayed the same. So the price just skyrocketed, and the last people who could afford that was avalanche control. So we kind of got priced out of the market, and
Not prepared by any
well,
means.
you just
Yep.
you just can't really predict that that's going to happen. So anyway,
So I
long-winded
can
story, but that's how we got there.
So I take it, and this is the last venture right before you got into Chillshark, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's not just a long winded story because it's your story.
yeah, yeah,
And you hit on it that you've been involved in so many different stories and
hmm
projects, or maybe you
hmm
call them chapters in
yeah,
your long story of your life. And what you said that they're not failures. They're
hmm
opportunities for you to meet really cool people
hmm
and learn, and
hmm
then learn and fail forward and learn and
hmm
fail forward. And who knew back when you were running the mulch company that you would
yeah,
fail 5 more times, but
yeah,
fail forward into this
yep,
thing called Chillshark. So
yep.
let's talk a little bit more about how you found Chillshark, the
Mm.
people who you've surrounded yourself with to bring this story to life, and why you're so inspired by what you guys are doing.
Yeah. So I think the thing that I'd really like to touch on first is the team, because one of the things that I learned in my different experiences was you can only go as far as the people you partnered with. And I'm sure you too have realized that as well, right? And that's why you guys are great partners. But the you can only go as far as the people you partnered with, and you need value alignment, because if you don't have the values aligned, nothing else, no matter how great the product is, how great the software is, whatever it is, it's not going to work, because you're just going to not see eye to eye at major decisions. And so as I partnered with the wrong people in certain ventures, I also reflected and saw that I partnered with some of the right people. And Chill Shark is a culmination of all the right people, because the only thing that matters to me, actually two things matter to me, is one, values. Like, are we aligned with values? Because if the values aren't there, you're not gonna be happy here. And then two is values, and do you like what the role we have for you? Do you want to be doing that? So every time think about bringing somebody on, we sit down and I go, like, aside from Chill Shark, like, what do you want to do with your life? Where do you want to be? And I try to understand if Chill Shark, or whatever role that they're going to grow into with us, is going to enable them to get to where they want to be in life. Because the reality is like, you know, you're not going to be happy if you're always thinking about what, what you really want to be doing. And so I try to understand, like, we have one guy on my team, he's 20 years old. He owns 5% of the company. Absolute beauty. He is just a classic entrepreneur, and what he really wants to run a business in the long term. So we see this as an opportunity to really help foster his growth, and then help put him in a position where we can back whatever company or whatever idea he has in the future. And he knows that. And so values alignment and really trying to put people in positions that they want to be and they really see themselves in long term, I think is why we're having a really good experience now at Chill Shark. And, like, honestly, it's why I literally love going to work every day. It's so much fun. Love the people I'm with. And yeah, so that's really the team. And so the team building was really important. And then the underlying why of the company is what I think is making the difference this time. And as I mentioned to you guys before, the I could only take a business so far before I would get to a point where I'd see where it could go and the potential, but I'd just be like, I don't care about this. I don't care about avalanche control exposure. I don't care about garden tools. Uh, you know, and there was just something missing. And when I stumbled upon this, all the drive in the world, all the passion in the world is there for it. And it was like, when I realized it, I was like, oh, this is what I've been looking for, like, my whole life. This is what I've been trying to find, like, where I can actually make a difference and build a cool business. But yeah,
I want you to dig into that a little more, Keegan.
yeah, for sure.
Why this? Why Chill Shark? Why Cold Plunge? Why this incredible new product?
Yeah, so I think, candidly, if I'm going so In Everyone has different challenges in life, I think. And the way that you get through them and the way that you handle them, they either like cripple people or they give you a unique perspective for you to use to turn into something good, right? And for me, I don't know, 5 years, I have to get into my personal story to explain it. Like, 4 or 5 years ago, I basically walked into therapy for the first time. And because I wasn't feeling right in my life. And, lacrosse was a big part of my life growing up. And ever since I got a bunch of concussions in college, I had always felt lost in a way. And, when I went into therapy, like the third session in, my therapist started asking me something that just triggered like a bunch of repressed memories that, of, me being abused when I was a kid. And for the next like 2.5 years, 3 years, every like week or, every couple days, there would be something that would come back. And, I never felt like it was going to end. And the whole time I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, man, first off, there's no way there's anyone else in the world who's going through anything like this, is all I could think. I felt so alone in a way. And I just remember thinking to myself, I was like, look, I'm going to get through this. And when I do, I am going to talk about this because, you know, I know I'll be in a position to do so. I don't know why. That was what I had always thought. And, I just kept digging, trying to like figure out what happened and they just kept coming back. And then ultimately one memory came back that I guess my nervous system had associated with dying, and I got stuck in this like fight or flight panic state for like 2 weeks, and it was the scariest thing I have ever gone through in my entire life. Like didn't know which way was up, and I ended up going to this 45-day PTSD treatment program, completely off the map, no phones. And while you're there, you basically are put with a group of people who have similar type, stuff. Like mine was complex PTSD, right? And who was in the group with me was a gunner from Iraq, a drone pilot with tons of, you know, tons of action, a sniper from Iraq, a lieutenant colonel, right? Like all these people who have seen like war, and like hearing one of them say like the reason I came in here was because and this is kind of dark, but he basic he basically he tried to kill himself right before he came in there, and he forgot to load the the gun. And so when I sat there for 45 days, I was 26, 27 at the time. Everybody else was like 55. And so I just like sat there and just learned like, you know, I didn't have I didn't have a family at that point. Like I'm just 26. I don't have a girlfriend, I don't have a family. I had like, I'm trying all my different entrepreneurial stuff, and I observed not only how it affected me, but how it affected the people in the group and the people in the group's kids and their wives and the whole, like how PTSD really does impact people. And I learned that the way that you treat PTSD is completely different depending on the type. So, if somebody gets their friend blown up in front of them, for example, or, they're a kid who goes through something really messed up, it affects the brain completely differently. So they have to throw 18, 20 different modalities at the patient to find the one or two that stick. And once they find the one or two that stick, they take those and they integrate them into their life so they have something to help keep them, you know, going when they get back. I found a couple things that really helped me there, but one of the things that I could not really, one of the things I wanted them to have was cold plunging. And I'm like, this is perfect. It's for like nervous system regulation. Like that makes sense. It helped me in sports. Like it's got to be able to help, like, well, I don't know why they don't have this. And when I got back, one of the things that I knew it would help me. So I was trying to like apply it and find a way to develop the habit in my life. But, the reality is if you don't have a frictionless way, or you have a lot of friction in building a hard habit, it makes it increasingly more difficult. So what are the options in an apartment, right? Buy ice every day, not doing that. That's taking way too long. Uh, you know, get a tub, put it in the middle of my living room, like not doing that. That's well, I want to have, I want to have a girlfriend at some point. Can't imagine, you know. Anyway, and then or put it on my balcony. And what am I going to do? Well, how am I going to drain the water? How am I like? I was just like, this all makes no sense. So then I looked up. I was like, there's got to be something that turns my bathtub into a cold plunge. Bought I bought one on market solution, piece of crap. They wouldn't even take it back, and it was just like a dropship product, right? And I just was frustrated. Then I bought another product. Took 8 hours to chill my tub, and I'm like, this is crazy. So I took it apart, and I realized that I could source all the parts in the product for $250 individually, like total landed bomb. And I was like, they're selling this for $1,000. Like they are ripping people off. Like I can make this for under $500. And little did I know, this is this single most complicated product I could have ever picked. And it has firmware, software, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, thermodynamics, right? All of these things that I know nothing about, but we just got started and kept going. And it is the reason, back to why I care about this, is because cold plunging can be and should be a treatment strategy for PTSD. When I made this product, I went to the military. I went to a base in California. I met with an athletic trainer there. And I showed a picture of the product. I said, would you use this? And she's like, absolutely. We would use this for training, for post, run, whatever, to have, all this stuff. I'm like, that's all great. And I love that. And we could totally help with that. But why don't we start with the high risk Marines on base with PTSD? Their response was basically, why would we do that? Right? Why would we do that? And for me, I was like, why would you do that? Because it will help them. And they're like, how do you know? I'm like, because I know, because this is what helped me. And they're like, look, where's the clinical research on this? I'm like, clinical research? What do you mean? And so I was like, okay, fine, I'll go find some research on this. I'm sure there's research. So I went and I reached out to the guy who's now my director of clinical research. His name is Dr. Eric Hedges. I met him at High Point, built a biomechanics lab from scratch, super brilliant guy. And then now he's at Tufts building another program up there. But I called him and I was like, hey, I think I remember seeing you guys do research in the biomechanics lab. This is what I'm thinking. Could you help me find some research on cold water immersion and the efficacy of it treating PTSD? And he's like, sure, Keegan, I can help you. You're a good guy. Let's do it. So he's like, give me 4 days and we'll get back on Zoom. So give him 4 days and he comes back and he's like, Keegan, right when you approached me, all I was trying to think of in my head was how I could tell you that this is just a bad idea and how, that doesn't make any sense. But then I started looking into it. And there isn't a single piece of research on cold water immersion and its efficacy in treating PTSD. So we should do it. I'm like, we should do what? He's like, clinical research. I'm like, what? No, okay. Like, all right, I'm down. But you got to help me because there is no way I could do this.
So he's saying, wait. So he's saying that it's a good thing because no one has done any testing, which means that no one could say that it's good or not.
Yeah, exactly. But what he did was he wrote, so this is what I've been reading research papers for a year. I'm not a doctor by any means, and nothing that I say should be taken as medical advice, just so you know. But I started reading all these research papers and looking for specific research that would talk about cold water immersion. What I realized was there are infinite pieces of research on cold water therapy, which everyone associates with cold water immersion. And cold water therapy is used to treat acute ankle inflammation, let's say, right? So post baseball, post lacrosse, right? You get an ice tub, and it helps if you got a sprained ankle. They have infinite amounts of research on that and how it helps. But the protocols are 10 minutes from 45 to 55 degrees, which ultimately is not cold water immersion. So when I started researching, I realized that there is so much research around cold therapy, but there's a confusion in the research community that cold therapy is not cold water immersion. And so when I was trying to find different markets to who might be interested in this product, I met with uh, pediatricians, I met with dietitians, I met with all the people who are more like research oriented in what they're doing, and they all said the same thing. They're just like, show me the research, prove to me this works, prove to me this reduces inflammation, and you know that's what kind of got us to where we're at today. So
Which, Keegan,
when
I'd have to say is a little
yeah,
crazy that that burden is put on you
it's not a
because
burden.
fair enough.
Sorry.
That task, no, that task, because in my mind, like cold plunging has been the hot thing for the past 5 years, right? Like, and
Hmm.
even longer if you go back in history,
Yeah,
right? So the fact that there hadn't been research is blowing my mind. Because I know Parker and I have been talking about it, and our
yeah,
friends have gotten into it, and everyone's talking about the benefits
yeah.
of it. And so it's cool that you guys were able to be at the forefront of actual legit clinical research with it.
Yeah, and so let me ask you, what have you guys heard about cold water immersion, and do you have any idea on how long you're supposed to stay in? Did you have any
No,
idea? If you
I
don't,
just
that's
know
okay.
the Wim Hof and the OG guy of cold water. And it's funny because I just moved apartments, and one of the things I was looking for because I wanted to do more cold plunges was a bathtub instead of a glass shower, so that I could
Yeah,
figure out how to turn that into a cold enough plunge. And
yeah.
so yeah, it's interesting. I think a lot of people are hearing the benefits, but maybe don't know exact science behind it.
Well,
So enlighten us.
well, now what you're seeing a lot of things come out about like, is cold water immersion worth the hype, worth its salt? Like everybody's saying how it's not or whatever, right? And if you look at the research that they're referencing, they're talking about a study designed for cold water therapy, right? Which is completely different, which is not the same as cold water immersion, right? You're 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 basically they're two different subjects, is how I see it. And again, I may be wrong, but the research will tell us. But basically, when you do bouts of cold water immersion, say 2 to 3 minutes, let's say, or 30 seconds, if that's all it takes to trigger the cold shock response in your body. Um, in the simplest term, when you cold plunge, it's going to release these happy chemicals all throughout your body, right? And by triggering that cold shock response daily or frequently throughout the week. They don't know the exact science around what is the right temperature, time, duration, but by doing this, they there's anecdotal evidence that this can help with depression. This can help with focus. This can help reduce inflammation. This can help with a wide variety of things that anecdotally have been proven. And yes, there probably is some research that I haven't seen, and maybe there is. I hope there is, but you know, the science behind cold water immersion, you got to think about the motivations for research, right? What are the motivations behind companies investing in research? It's to prove that their product helps treat a specific, something specific, right? So when I was thinking about the reason why I decided to do the research, when I was thinking about incentives for cold plunging companies, like, why wouldn't you try and prove weight loss? Why wouldn't you try and prove inflammation? You have a million different things before you get to PTSD that you'd really be focusing on clinically, because you would have a much larger addressable market. So I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't even core to my business model, but this will
But it's core to your
this is
core. And I think that's
exactly. And
important. And that's what entrepreneurship, Parker and I we have little show notes, and we're like, when you have a product, a mission, a vision, a story that is part of you, you will figure out how to make it successful. And I
Totally.
think it's so obvious the passion that you have for this. It's like, yeah, there are other maybe lower hanging fruits that I could have done. But
Yeah,
this was important for me, Keegan, as a human.
exactly. Exactly. And like, you know, like I said before, like everyone has challenges in their life. And when I was going through all this stuff and really trying to figure it out, like I always turned to books and I would read books and books and books about PTSD and how it works and like what like how does this even make sense and other people's stories and how they healed and how they got through it. And like the one common theme that I saw consistently was that PTSD never leaves you, but you need to find a way to take your pain and turn it into something beautiful, right? And that was what I felt this would give me the opportunity to do. And that's why, like, all I have been so lucky with the people who have landed in our lab, for who is working with us, for who are our investors, for the clinic where we're doing the actual clinical research down in Florida, which we should talk about at some point. But I randomly got introduced to them because I was telling someone how much I cared about this, and they're like, "Ah, you sound just like this guy," right? And so when you're doing, you know, when you're doing things for the right reason, everyone can hear it. Everybody knows, and they want to help you because it's not about making money. It's not about trying to sell you a product. It's like, this is something that is good for people. I have no idea if there's going to be an ROI on it. I don't care. All I know is that the military would not look into this until I had some efficacy proven of PTSD, which is a much more complicated problem than you'd think. The way like yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
Well,
yeah,
Keegan,
sorry, mid thought.
I want to commend you. I've been listening and sitting here with, what's beautiful about doing the podcast, and we've done 385 plus at this
That's
point.
crazy.
And it's amazing about that is Sam and I get a moment to put our phone aside, to put life aside, and be fully present in a conversation with someone who is going out and chasing their dreams, whether it's in entrepreneurship or not. And being able to sit through the last 15 minutes and just observing the way you talk about your story and how you're able to be vulnerable with yourself and vulnerable with us and vulnerable in a public forum about the challenges that you face as a person, and then sitting here and listening about how you're trying to spin that into a positive, not even just for you, but for the world, because you believe in something so wholeheartedly, is really freaking cool. And I know Sam feels the exact same way because, I feel like we can talk to each other without even talking these days. But that is what Elevation Nation is all about, is helping people harness their mental fortitude, knowing deeply about confronting their real self, the hard things in their life, the things that have made them who they are, helping people build a vision upon who they are, and then finding that fuel to get you going. And so hearing you talk through that has lit a fire in me as well, because I'm so inspired by what you're doing on your own personal journey, but how you're continuing to be motivated to bring this thing to life through all the challenges and obstacles. And there's going to be more to come because that's life and that's entrepreneurship. But man, like if you're listening, this is what it means to live and by your own mental fortitude every freaking day. I just had to say that.
No, thank you.
Parker reads my mind. I think, Keegan, right? Parker and I want you to know we appreciate you getting vulnerable with us because we struggled immensely as well, right? And you kind of heard a little bit of our story, but, I had my first bout of depression when I graduated and went into the real world and called my best friend to be like, dude, I don't feel right. Like, I don't know what's going on. And that's what inspired Elevation Nation. And I think for you to share your story and obviously your immense passion, you're a lacrosse guy, you're jacked, you're cool, but yet you're able to talk about some of the struggles that you went through and your emotions. And I think if anything, yeah, we talk to entrepreneurs, we learn about business, we shoot the shit, it's cool.
Mhm.
But I want you to know, when we have young men that come on the podcast specifically and open up like Parker and I open up, we get DMs flooded into our inbox of young guys saying, thank you for sharing that story. Like, I'm feeling the same exact way. And so I
Yeah.
know your purpose with Chillshark is to help, people with PTSD. But I want you to know, even in you building Chillshark and coming on here and sharing your story, you're helping people along the way. And I think that's the goal that we all have as entrepreneurs, is to share our passion, to share our love, and make the world a better place. And when we
Mhm.
do that, the relationships will come, the money will come, and the journey will be just as fulfilling. And so I'm just excited for you, man. It's an incredible story.
I appreciate you saying that. And what I think back to was when I was like in the middle of this, and I was just like every day, I was like, when is this gonna end? Like, is this ever gonna stop? Like, what is going on? I like finally I got introduced to somebody who had been through the same thing. And I remember like sitting across from them at like a dinner, and I was just like, dude, like I'm tired. Like, is this gonna stop? And he just like, I feel he just grabbed my arm and he was looked at me and he's like, I know exactly what you're going through. And he's like, but you got to keep going because I made it through it. It sucks, but you'll get through it. And then you will help people because of it. And that one conversation is something that stuck in my mind when I was like weighing, like, do I have to talk about this? I don't really want to tell people this. Like, I don't want to talk about this at all, to tell you the truth. But I know that if I were going through that or something similar, and I heard that message from somebody, it would make a huge, huge difference for me. And, if it can make a difference in one person's life, then it's all worth it, man. And that is why I decided to share it, even though I really don't want to at all, even a little bit, even the slightest bit. But, I think, again, you just gotta the quicker you rise to the challenges in your life, the quicker you can get on with it. Sorry.
That no, don't be sorry. That that is mental fortitude right there. When Sam and I, we speak around the country, and it's cool to talk and get vulnerable with young people, even though it's hard every time.
Yeah.
Every single time when I get in front of a room of a lot of people and talk about me losing my stepdad unexpectedly
Mm.
out of nowhere 2 years ago and change the course of my life. That's not fucking easy. It's never easy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I can honor him through that. I feel like I
Yeah.
can help others who are going through grief feel that and understand that they have someone else who maybe is a step ahead of them and they can still get there, even though they're going to experience that one day in their life too, because that's part of being human.
Yeah.
And so that is, I think, I just appreciate you so much because people hold that in. People hold that
Mhm.
in. And we got to let people feel like they have a space to let it out, even though when they don't think it's the best thing for them.
Yeah. For sure, man. Completely agree. And I appreciate you sharing that, your
Of
stepdad.
course. So I know we've been going, 45 minutes here. This is a deep, good, elevated conversation. Keegan, we
Mhm.
got to give you the opportunity. What's next for Chill Shark, man? Like, I know you got a bunch of investors. You guys are now launching on Kickstarter. You got people asking for your product. We have a ton of people. We want to make introductions for you too.
No,
Like,
yeah, thank
what's
you.
next?
Yeah. What's next? So we got to launch. We have a lot of demand, so we have to fulfill demand. I have 6 products that I want to launch that I already have in mind. And so basically, we get through this launch, we'll be in a nice position to raise a Series A round, and we'll probably be able to do that at a tech company valuation because there's a really key component which we are not talking about that is a very unique. It's a unique way. It's a unique way to solve the PTSD cold water immersion clinical data issue. And that, I believe, is going to be the biggest impact that we can have. Uh, but I'm not going to talk about it that much yet. But long story short, we have 10 people, and we have very, very smart people, way smarter than me. My co-founder is the smartest guy I've ever met in my entire life. He remembers everything I tell him, everything. So, which is a blessing and a curse, because if I tell him one thing 4 months before, and then I say something different 4 months later, he reminds me because he remembers, and I don't. Yeah. So just a lot of really smart people who buy into, let's build a great business, take care of the clients, the rest will take care of itself, and do good while we're doing it. And so I think this is something that I could see myself doing for the rest of my life. And, I thank God for it every day.
It's a beautiful
It's
thing.
beautiful. It's
Ooh,
beautiful
there
when
you
you
go.
have something that you love to do.
Yeah.
And more
Yeah.
specifically with a team that you love, right?
Yeah.
You got a couple
Yeah.
guys on there. I don't know if we're giving them shout outs, but a couple people in particular that I've met that are good dudes that are very lucky to be a part of your team, and you're lucky to have them as well. And
Hmm.
it's nice when you get to work with people like that every single
Hmm.
day. So it makes
Absolutely.
it special. I love it.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm excited about the Chillshark launch. I want to, though, it did launch today. We got to give you,
Yes.
Keegan, a little opportunity without breaking down any proprietary information. This is going to be this is the reel right here. This is the clip. This is the shot. What
Okay.
makes Chillshark different than other products on the market, and why should people join the Kickstarter campaign so they can get a Chillshark in their own home?
Chillshark is the only solution on market that makes sense. In a world of companies that have made hundreds of millions of dollars selling you something you already own, a bathtub, we believe everybody has got one. And we're going to build the best possible solution for you to get utility out of something you already own. We made it in the United States, luckily, with the whole tariff situation. And we actually care about what we're doing as a business. And I think, you know, yes, it's an expensive product, but it's a quality product, one that I've designed, curated for myself. It will retail around $5,000. But on Kickstarter, we're basically offering it at cost, you know, $3,000. It's practically free. So if you, I would really strongly encourage you, if you can't afford it, totally understand, don't buy it. But if you can put $1 towards our campaign, it really helps boost the algorithm. So, which then gets us a lot more organic reach. And so, if you want to help us, great. If not, like, please don't trouble yourself. It's not. It's we think we got a quality product, and um, you know, just we appreciate. I appreciate anybody who like it is the coolest thing in the world hearing that people like it. Just being like, wow, I have the same problem. Like, no way, me too. Yeah,
Well,
well, yeah.
Sam knows it really well with Miles's Miles's cold water immersion machine. Like,
It was some contraption he had in there. We don't want to bash competitors on the pod,
No,
but
listen,
we'll
I think
talk
what it's
offline.
I know exactly what it is. It's the one that I bought that made me
I
start this company.
sure, yeah.
Yeah, they market it. It's just a fish tank chiller that they market as a turn your bathtub into a cold plunge, and it's just a fish tank chiller that takes 8 hours to chill and then breaks after 3 months. I'm like, why do you even sell this? You don't care about your clients. You hate them. You know. So
I mean, incredible. I love it. I have a good introduction that we're gonna make for you, Keegan. Our best friend Miles, who beyond needing probably the best of the best, also knows some pretty good people as well.
cool,
So
man. I love meeting good people,
yes,
and
I mean,
I
who
love
doesn't?
if anybody, and honestly, if anybody's struggling with anything that they think resonates with my story, like please reach out. We'll try. We'll try. We'll try. Now, I can't imagine too many people can reach out, but I would love to be resourced in any way. You know.
Amazing. All right, Keegan. Last section. Well,
Ah.
kind of. One section, then the next section. We got a
Okay.
rapid fire. We have some quick questions for you.
Oh,
And
okay.
first thing that comes to mind, we got to hear. So, my first rapid fire, and then I'll kick it to Sam, and then he's going to kick it back to me,
I like this.
is if you could cold plunge one place in the world, what would it be?
Norway.
Where in Norway?
In one of their, they have like these sea baths where everybody goes. It's like a huge culture. there's a whole culture around cold plunging up there in the Nordic countries.
They're built
You would have
different
never known.
up there.
They are
They're
built different, dude.
they are incredible people, enjoy nature, and they can
Yeah.
deal with a long
Well, I
cold
was gonna
plunge.
say I'm ready for you to like make like hang out with me while I'm in Norway cold plunging. Like I'm ready for
Okay.
that video. Like I
All
I
right.
think that would be
No,
good
no,
for
no, no.
PR.
This is my favorite thing ever. So the 20-year-old I told you about on my team. So I said if we absolutely crush the Kickstarter, we're going to do a series called 30 Sharks, 30 Days, 30 Countries, and we're going to send them all over the world to go swim with sharks in different countries in cold waters. It's for Chillshark, obviously, but 30 sharks, 30 days, 30 countries.
If
Nathan
that's not
Blue.
enough to buy the product and help the Kickstarter, I don't know what
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
So
yeah. I just think it would be so funny to like basically make him have to go all over the world and swim with
listen, I'll
sharks.
tell you, if he
And then
doesn't
it gets
want to, I will.
No, you get it
but that's
progressively
what
more.
sharks though.
Yeah, but we get it progressively more dangerous each time too. So by the end, he's cage diving without a cage, great white all around. You know, it's a great idea. But anyway,
It's great. Yeah, no
it's great.
liability here. It's fine. We'll
No,
figure
no,
it out.
absolutely not.
We're good.
That's why you get a waiver.
That's exactly right. All right, next question. I would say there's a culture around cold plunging. Yes, your product is for bathtub. You can do it at home. But a lot of times people want to do it with other people. If you could cold plunge with anyone on planet Earth, who would it be?
Wow, that's a difficult question. And I really like cold plunging alone. That's why
Yeah,
I was like I don't
fair.
like the idea of doing like groups or whatever. But how about if I was going to meet someone through cold plunging, is that better?
Yeah, I like that.
Uh, um, hmm, that's a tough question. Tim Ferriss, without a doubt. That dude saved my life. I told him in
Wow.
Austin. I told him.
Wow.
It
Really?
was incredible. Yeah, I was running in Austin one day and I was going through the city and I just like saw out of the corner of my eye, Tim, I just stopped and I was like, Tim Ferriss. It's like, yeah, that's me. I was like, dude, you don't understand. Like, your podcast saved my life. Like, can I just shake your hand? And he's like, COVID, man, I got COVID, but thank you. I'm like, oh man, okay. And I know you don't have COVID because I listened to your podcast, and that's a trick that you would probably do. But yeah, man, just listening to his podcast completely changed my life, without a
Wow.
doubt. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like
Wow.
All
it's
right,
like
no
having a
shaking of
guy.
hands, Tim, but we're going to get you in a cold plunge with Keegan. There we go.
After he
Yeah.
comes on the podcast.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
Just saying. All right, last rapid fire. I got a lot of books. You've been reading a lot of research studies, but any other books that you have that you want to recommend to Elevation Nation?
Besides the Bible, actually, yeah, I do. There's two books. You ready? They're right here, actually.
Perfect.
All right. So actually, there's three books. I recommend them hands down. First, How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. If someone has ever recommended that to you, take it to heart. There's a reason why they recommend it to you. It's because you need to read the book and follow the principles. And when you do that, it was the first book I read that I took, applied to my life, and it made my life better. So I make everyone read that. Uh, the Think and Grow Rich. So I had a couple mentors who sold their companies for, let's say, one dude $100 million, another dude $27 million. I'm like, how'd you do it? How'd you do it? That's crazy. They're like, I attribute 100% of my success to reading this book and following the directions. And what following the directions mean is there's 12 or 13 of them hidden throughout the book. But like an example would be read this chapter out loud once every night until you become thoroughly convinced that the principle of auto suggestion is sound, la, 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 right? And so read the book, follow the directions. I'm like, oh, if it's that easy, like how many people have done it? They're like, I tried to tell everyone about this book and nobody listened. Not a single person. You are the first person to listen. And so everybody buys the book, everybody reads it, but I read this one chapter out loud 150 times every night, 150 days straight. And then something clicked and I was like, I get it. So Think and Grow Rich. Then The Answer by John Assaraf. This is crazy. Same type of deal, but his is more like it's like a modern Think and Grow Rich, But anyway, like if I would say I started reading the same thing out loud every single day for 10 years, and now it's starting to come true. And I completely believe it's because of that, you know? Do you read Think and Grow? You have it?
Parker's read it
Park, you read it?
somewhere on there.
Do you see it? I mean, I see it.
Bro,
It's different
my
colors.
eyesight's not that good.
Yeah, but
See the black one, Endurance.
but did you read it? Did you read it and follow the directions,
No,
or did you
so
just read
it's
it?
funny that you brought it up because I actually just bought it like a couple
Oh,
weeks
no
ago,
way.
but I haven't
Well,
read it
this.
yet.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, half
I'm
the
telling
books
you
on
right.
here I haven't read. That's the whole
You
point. I
should
got my own little
probably
library.
just do not read any other book. Just read that book until you figure out how it works. And then, Alex Schultz was the guy who told me about this first. You remember him?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I think he didn't go to college. His company was 27 million bucks or something.
Yeah,
27, never went to college. And he's like, this book, read it. I was like, all right, man, whatever. I'll do whatever you're doing. Yeah.
that's true. All right,
Yeah.
I like it. I'm looking for something new. All right,
Cool.
Sammy, round it out.
Sorry, I'm too busy Googling these books and trying to buy them right now. The Answer is a new one I'd never heard of.
The Answer, John Assaraf.
$11.99. That's a steal right there. I'm about to snag that thing.
I'm telling you, every one of these books, like if you read all these different success books, they're essentially saying the same thing,
Yeah.
but it's like all core around Napoleon Hill's work, which is
This
Think and Grow
is
Rich.
what I'm reading right now.
What is that?
Parker had me get this
I,
one.
I
I
love
can only
that
see
one.
half of it.
Oh, sorry. Feel the
Feel
fear.
the fear and do it
anyway.
anyway. Exactly.
And I
It's
got it
good
from
for
the
public
library.
speaking. I will say.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Sam and I
I
get in
love.
front of a lot of people.
Yeah.
That's
Public
the
speaking's intense, man.
We're about to do 3 500-person sessions back to back to back within a half
Are you
of a
jacked
day.
up? Are you jacked up?
Oh, of
Come
course.
on. That's
It's how-
great.
That's what makes us feel the most alive.
Is being
If
on
you told
stage.
Parker 4 years ago that he was going to do that, I think he'd throw up and then say you're lying. Look at how far you've come, Parker.
Well, I've been telling a lot of people I'm going to backflip off the stage one day, so I guess I got to learn how to backflip. And
Dude,
now
you probably,
really-
honestly, dude, just send it. You'll be fine. You'll be good.
I know your parts if you're not fine, so you're good.
Yeah, that's a good point. At least you got a
easy.
partner.
Exactly. All right, Keegan, our final segment of the podcast. Every single person in Elevation Nation is united by this common phrase. We call it your mental motto. It's how you live your life. And so we want to know, you're obviously a chill shark, but Keegan O'Connor, what is your mental motto?
Yeah, it's definitely evolved over time. What it is right now is when you do the right things for the right reasons, it creates opportunities for good things to grow. And I don't know why that just keeps playing through my head, but I feel like as soon as I stopped caring about money and really started caring about doing the right thing, whether it was for the client, for my business partners, for the employees, right? Whatever it is, like you do the right thing for the right reasons, everyone can feel that because the way that you talk, the way that you operate, the way that you actually don't care about money, like I don't care. Everybody can feel that if you want to do the right thing, and just because it's the right thing to do, and I just believe that that's what will get me to where I want to be because I obviously didn't do that when I was younger and still struggle with it in some capacity, but the do the right things for the right reasons, create opportunity for good things to grow. Beautiful, beautiful saying.
resonates so much. I mean, I told you about our first company. We were doing it for the wrong reasons. We were doing it
Yep.
to make a buck.
Mm-hmm.
And then we figured we were out. We were also helping people who were lost, but we were lost ourselves.
Yeah.
And so we had
But
to
think about
start
how
and flip it.
But think about how
Mission
lucky, yeah, but think about how lucky you are that you didn't start to make money doing it, right?
We
Like,
made a little bit, but then
no,
it
no,
was
no, no, no.
like,
I'm saying
like-
like, hey, like this, like you read a lot of stories, you talk to a lot of people, they figure out a way to like make money and like they get to a certain point and they hate it and they're like, why am I doing this? I hate this. And like, it's all only about money. And you guys had the luxury of going out, recognizing that, hey, look, whatever we're doing right now, it's for the wrong reasons. And you've been able to recenter. And like, that's why when I hear both of you talk, like, your podcast is going to go to the moon. You're going to be speaking to millions of people all over the world. And like, it's because you're doing the right things for the right reasons. And that's what I truly believe,
Well, thank you, brother. You obviously are as well. It's incredible to meet people, not just on the same entrepreneurial journey, but you said it, you surround yourself with people on your team with the right values, right? That's the
right.
number one thing you look for. And we try to do the same with people we invite into the nation. And you certainly embody the values of mental fortitude, the values of doing the right thing. And you said we're going to the moon, but I think we're all going there together. So let's get in the rocket ship, man. I appreciate
All right.
you joining the nation. And It's just the beginning.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And if I can help in any way, let me know.
All right, Elevation
Such a good
Nation. Until next
conversation.
week. Peace. Dude, you